not having the luxuries of washing your body in warm water and so on. We skip just a few paragraphs. Boredom aside, U.S. troop morale seems to be fine. Again, this is the Gulf War when we first invaded Iraq in 1991. Whatever that means, to have morale be fine. You'll notice that the term morale is never used except in reference to soldiers or people in analogous positions, such as employees of large corporations or prison inmates. Even educational institutions have school spirit or the mood on campus rather than morale. Right? So why is it that we don't talk about morale except for soldiers in the Army? Nobody ever talks about the morale of participants in a passionate love affair. Morale is low in our love affair, right? Nor does the word come up in discussions of wild drinking sprees, marathon poker games, or visits to whorehouses in Bangkok. The morale was high during our visit. Morale, therefore, apparently means, quote, how well people are doing when they're not doing well at all. Pretty good definition of morale. That's why they use it only in reference to the Army. We skip about 2 pages. The Saudis aren't doing much of anything, which is par. They pray 5 times. Now remember, the Saudis were with us when we went into Iraq. They pray 5 times a day, and everything shuts down for about 5 hours at every prayer time. You figure it out. That's 25 hours of things being shut down every day. Says that's what it's like being at war with the Saudis. They were actually on our side, the Saudis. Okay, page 211. Thursday, 21st February. Dhahran, D-H-A-H-R-A-N. Personally, I'm coming back to the United States as a big supporter of atomic power. It's worth the risk just to make sure that this part of the world never has any political, strategic, or economic significance again. In other words, he thinks that we should have nuclear power stations everywhere in America and not use oil anymore. That done, we can use the Middle East for the purpose to which it is so ideally suited: dumping nuclear waste. Watch out for the nine-legged camels. Wow, did he just say that? Watch out for the nine-legged camels. He says the Middle East is well suited for dumping nuclear waste. Try that on for size. Now, compare Vietnam to the war in Iraq. Quote, I talked to a medical officer at one of the British field hospitals in Iraq. He had been in Vietnam, and this was his first contact with the American military since. Quote, I was astonished when I got here, he said. Every American soldier I met was tidy, cheerful, eager to help, glad to be here. Well, not precisely glad, but you know what I mean. This had not been my experience in Vietnam. It is as if the American soldiers here come from a different nation. And if you watch my series on Vietnam, you know how bad morale got in Vietnam. Now he talks about being on a hotel bed in Rome. He had just gotten out of Iraq. He flicks on the television and there's Billy Idol. And he sees Billy Idol running around on stage. And he thinks, wow, this guy's really, really excited. What the hell's going on? Why is he so excited? It was a dramatic performance, but confusing to my woozy intellect. What? Okay, he's drunk. What, I wondered, was Billy Idol being dramatic about? I had just spent the past week in a burned up, blown up, looted city where there was no food or water, seeing mangled bodies and hearing stories of murder, rape, abduction, etc. Pretty dramatic stuff. It made me get drunk and lie on the bed without taking my shoes off. But Billy Idol seemed to have experienced something much more dramatic. So much more dramatic that it made him strip half naked, dye his hair platinum, wear a bunch of jewelry, and jump around like an ape. And then he says to himself, Billy Idol concerts are, obviously, worse than war. I've never seen a Billy Idol concert. They probably are that bad, I don't know. Oh no, it's the last quote I have. Well, hilarious, good read, funny, easy, quick. You don't have to read too much of the stuff twice, 3 or 4 times. recommend it if you come across a copy. And he's actually or was, I don't know if he's even still around, a columnist. So those were actually a bunch of columns and essays he had written over years, put together and published together in a book. So brilliant that. P.J. O'Rourke, try him out for size. He has, oh my goodness, one last thing. He does have a list of people that are going to have to be fought against, and he says some hilarious things about them. Don't bother to find the list at this time, but on the list of evil people that we're just going to have to fight was Christopher Hitchens. It's interesting that. Christopher Hitchens, I think, has come over from the dark side since then. For example, Hitchens was against the war in Iraq, where P.J. O'Rourke was for it, and now Hitchens has reversed himself and was for the second war in Iraq. So maybe he's off of P.J. O'Rourke's bad list. But anyways, P.J. O'Rourke, enjoy him if you will.